All right. That made me mad. I have sound. Did I not have sound that whole time? 20 freaking minutes of no sound. I can't even anymore. I can't do it again today. I don't have time because I got to go grocery shopping this afternoon because I didn't do it this morning because I wasn't out of the shower until 9:15. And if I don't leave before 9 to go grocery shopping just doesn't happen in the morning. It's a good thing because my husband texted me at 11 telling me the things he wanted to have from the store, which I would have not gotten because I would have been home by 11 or out of the store at least by 11. I'd have been picking up lunch at 11 or already been home. So that's what he gets. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. All right. This is from Entitled People entitled Friend Asked to Use My Home for Her Child's Birthday Party and then uninvited me. Friend wanted to celebrate her child's birthday in my party room because it's a special number they're turning. I asked why she can't use her own home, and she said it's because mine is kid friendly. I told her I'd prefer if she had the party elsewhere, like a community center or another public event space. She came back to me in a few weeks later saying they were too expensive or far away, and then asked again if she could use my place for the party. By booking our space, she would be saving hundreds of dollars on the venue. I agreed with the caveat that we kept it to a maximum number of people we keep to the booking time, and she has to get her own guests from the lobby. Where do you live? That's weird. Oh, okay, I bet you. Okay, that did not make any sense at all. Okay, now I realize what's going on. She lives in a complex, and so um, her party venue is probably pretty cheap for residents. Primarily for residents. It was important to clarify this to her because my partner and I had hosted a huge party for her a year prior, which had way more people invited, and we found ourselves not enjoying ourselves the whole time as we had to monitor the guests and retrieve people from the lobby throughout the event because many guests came later than the stated start time on the invitations. We also didn't enjoy attending the party because we were busy setting up, coordinating events, monitoring the guests, and cleaning up the room after. Why are you in charge of all of that? That should be on the host, not on you, the friend of the host, who should also be at the party. It's weird. 2 weeks before her child's birthday, she tells me she wants to change the party time to an hour later due to her child's change in nap times. She also went over my max number of guests because she had already invited people before I had agreed to, and it would be too awkward to disinvite them, as well as all the grandparents had to come too. Well, the grandparents can like shuttle people back and forth from the lobby and clean up and all of that stuff. I told her I will not be canceling the booking and if we can keep the original time. She eventually told me to cancel the party because I seemed too stressed out. Well, I don't blame her. Mind you, I was willing to work with her, but she was unwilling to compromise. She also did not offer to compensate for my time and efforts, only to offer to pay for the cost of the room booking that my strata charges for the room. I don't know what that means, which is also the case for the previous big party that we hosted for her. I found through social media that she still had a birthday party for her child, but neither my partner nor I were invited. Why would you be? We felt hurt because it seemed like she only wanted us there so we could provide the venue and coordinate the event. What did you think she was doing? What did you think she was doing? Of course you were only there to provide the venue and help with the party. This girl's not your friend, dude. We mentioned that we live in a luxury condo with a lot of amenities near the city center. We also feel like she took advantage of our living situation and has been treating our home like a community center for her to impress her friends with. I doubt that's it. I think it's just you can provide something cheap for her to have parties at that she doesn't want to have at our house. We do not feel like guests that can enjoy these parties because there's so much liability and work to do when the parties are held in our home. It's not in your home. It's not in your home. Stop saying it's in your home because it's clearly not in your home. She also asked me earlier this year if she could use one of my party rooms for her birthday party, which she eventually decided not to do because she didn't want to clean up at the end of the night. Edit. Thanks for the advice. I appreciate the insight from other people, and I really should have said no after the first party, but it's hard for me to say no, especially to long term friends, which is something I'm trying to work on. I debated whether I should post my experience here and how I should uh, proceed with this friendship going forward, but the resounding opinion is pretty clear. Um, Papa Bon says this person is not your friend. Maybe it's Papa Bonner. I don't know. Party Custard says, how appropriate. We're talking about parties, and Party Custard is here. She most definitely is not your friend. She is a user. Do not let her use you in your party rooms again. Don't worry about hurting her feelings because she doesn't give two craps about yours. If she asked why you are all of a sudden saying no to using her party rooms, then tell her the truth because you and your spouse are tired of being used for them. And she didn't want to clean up after her party. Did she expect you to clean up after her parties? Wow. Um, second top rated post is from DH Gaunt, and they say, she's not a friend, she's a user. And if you're going to open your doors to impress her real friends, then you are not of use. If you're not going to open your doors to impress her real friends, then you are not of use. Thomas says, oh, they're not real friends either. People like that don't have any friends at all. And KM Flushing says, stop being doormats, letting yourselves get stepped on by friends. I completely agree. And we have an update. 3 days after making this post, I messaged this friend to tell her how hurt I felt and used when I saw that she still had a party and did not invite me. I was expecting her to acknowledge my feelings and apologize, but she replied that she was a little offended to receive my message because she was the one who had to cancel her party at my place so last minute and was awkward to tell everyone the party could not be on the same date anymore because she could not book her own party room on the same date. Yes, she had her own party room that she can reserve in her own condo at this whole time. Wow. Wow. Yet she still wanted mine because it's more kid friendly. She complained that she had to book on a different day instead. She shared that she didn't invite my partner and I because she assumed I was working on the new date of the party. I told her I had the day off. I was livid at this point, so I pointed out that she's been acting entitled ever since I moved into my current place over. Now she tries to self-invite her and her family over to my place multiple times to use my condo amenities. Who does? I don't even go to my kids' amenities. I probably should, but I don't. One of them's in town. He's got like everything. Now we might use the pool this summer. Last summer it was too late, really. But I might take the grands to the pool once in a while. um, how I invited her. How I had already hosted her such a big party last year, and several other things I took initiative on when her other friends did not step up. I did this all without asking for anything in return, just to be a good friend when she was going through personal hardship at the time. I told her how inconsiderate she has been to asking for all these things from me, on top of trying to get me to host her birthday and her kids' birthday parties. In a contrast, I've never asked anything similar for her to do for me, for myself, and neither has she offered. I told her she should feel ashamed to be using her friend like this and to put herself in my shoes for once. I clarified that it was her fault that I had canceled my party room booking because she didn't want to wake her child up from their nap for one day in the year. That's perfectly logical. Like, it is not my fault you cannot get your kid up to come to their own party. And it was a nap. And that she did not consider the time of the several people she had invited making this decision. I told her I was surprised that there was no accountability or apology from her end. She sent a short note telling me she was sorry and didn't realize how much trouble she had caused. She then asked if we can move past this. That was all that was said. Out of respect, I told her I do not want to be friends anymore. She left me unread. Well, you said you didn't want to be friends anymore, so what's she supposed to do? Beg you to be her friend? No. No, you said you didn't want to be friends, and she's taking the hint. Good for her. She apologized and you still didn't want to be friends with her. So I don't see any problem with her leaving you on red. None whatsoever. Next we have murdered by words, entitled I support this idea. um the official Dawson McKee says, Dear Americans, how would you feel if Canada went in and bombed DC or Mar-a-Lago, took your president, your first lady, and then ran your country until a new leader was available? Would you like it? And crap women with law degrees say, yes, how can we make this happen? Yes, I would love that to happen. That would be awesome. Thank you. Please, please do. Please, please, please do. Take both of them, please. Demented Alpaca says, I mean, I prefer you not blow up the White House, but that price would be worth the results. Oh. Somebody answers with the meme that says, it's Piglet and Pooh. It says, is he dead yet? Asked Piglet. No, said Pooh. Wang, said Piglet. uh, CL says, bomb Mar-a-Lago? Okay. Take the illegitimate president and his handler wife? Okay. Run our country? Okay. Could we have universal health care, please? Thanks. Parental leave and daycare? Wyoming Cat House says, how soon can this be arranged? Cheryl Lizzie replies, is there a form? Dad of boy answers, can I set up a GoFundMe? Oh, yeah, I am all in on that. Oh, uh-oh. That's not right. That is not right. Luckily, I'm very organized. Why is it not there? There it is. Yeah, that was dumb. Okay, I fixed it. I got my what do you call it? Oh, my title's messed up with my actual content. All right, still Nationals, Arches National Park. This is a one bad review from we'll call her Felicia in Moab, Utah. Beautiful park, poorly managed is the title. This is a beautiful park, but it is becoming increasingly limited. Soon visitors will be paying to drive past attractions when it is decided that hiking hurts the slick rock. And you know this how? Yeah, new limitations occur every year which limit the ability to fully appreciate the park. No, they limitations occur every year to protect the park. Protect it. More and more areas are being closed off. Yes, to protect them. This park is very hard to get into and bursting with foreign tourists. Many are not prepared to navigate dangerous park roads, such as those near cliff edges. This is why you take a bus. It's completely overcrowded and restricted. How can it be overcrowded and restrictive? If it's restricted, it's because it's overcrowded. People drive me insane. All right, this is traumatizing back. It's not safe for work. So if you got little ones, skip or turn off the sound, put your headphones in, earbuds in, headphones on, whatever you do, because this is really not safe for work. Got tired of my dad saying BDSM is abuse, so I confirmed I do, in fact, like being hit. Um, so I am in a BDSM poly relationship. I'm also the victim of physical abuse in grade school by my teachers. Some teachers, ugh. My dad is very immature and is still recovering from an abusive relationship. I should say he's being immature, and his abusive ex are related to each other, but both facts are relevant to the story. Sometimes my dad will bring up that BDSM is abuse. It's not. It's consensual. It's not abuse. And just an excuse for abusers to hit their victims. No, that's and that the consent is forced compliance. Not if it's consensual relationship, it's not. I'm pretty open about my sex life with permission from my partners, and pretty much everyone knows we do that every Friday night. Just not the specifics of what we do because we have some sense of privacy, mostly to avoid being interrupted by phone calls or unimportant matters. Yes, we're getting it on. Leave us alone. Well, my dad started one of his rants at family dinner and started making my partners uncomfortable because they're DOMs, and I would never hit someone abusively or punish me past my safe word. While seeing my beloved girlfriends uncomfortable, something in me snapped. Uh, well, Dad, I actually quite enjoy being hit. Really makes me WT. Now, parents don't like to hear about their kids' sex lives at all, and kids don't like to hear about their parents either. But my dad still views me as a child, not the 25-year-old adult I am. So, hearing this kid in a very sexual tone talk about being hit, he pauses, stares down at me, and mutters, What? Yeah, every Friday. And he elaborates. I'm not going to say this on YouTube. I'll probably get kicked off. One of my girlfriends choked, the other laughed at my dad's expression. My dad stood up and stormed out of the restaurant. Oh, they were in public. Yeah, you don't talk about those things in public. Leaving my mom and us to split the bill. Pretty sure a couple of nearby tables was red as heck, too. Edit. I figure I should say that my dad brings this up a lot, so he probably deserved it, but leave it for family dinner at the house, not out in public, man. Nobody's kids need to hear that from you. Edit two, my dad literally uses his past relationship to justify verbally and emotionally abusing my mom and me for years and refusing to get help. So sorry if I'm not sympathetic to his problems. I don't think you have to be if you were also abused. Edit three, since people are saying I should add this, my dad found out through a friend of mine who was pressured into telling him. My friend did not want to say anything, but my dad kept accusing my girlfriend of being abusive because of the occasional marks he found on my legs when I didn't have any clean long pants left to wear. I wouldn't talk about it, so my father forced my friend to say it because my father threatened to call the police on my girls, and my friend didn't want that to happen. Then after that, my dad wouldn't winging drop it, kept saying it was abuse and I should leave them before they seriously hurt me. He did this for 3 years, so sorry if I got a little fed up and finally snapped. No, I understand that, but that should not have been done in public. Sorry. Teddy Graham Knapp says, "How in the world did this even come up as a topic during what sounds like a family dinner at a restaurant?" Bleep says it was a Wendy's. The real McCoy says, "Waffle House, hands thrown all the time." Waffle Houses do have reputations. Uh, Anglo something says, "So, huh? Your dad often talk about that at family dinners?" And LP says, "Yes." Uh, need Kitty needs beer says, "Yikes." So their top rated comment. Um, Next we have something's wrong with my girlfriend. She hardly eats. She eats like two things and says she's really full. She'll eat once a day. She woke up basically jerking upright this morning at 4 to 5 a.m., rubbing her chest, practically beating it. I asked her what's wrong. She says she thinks she's going to be sick. She's like that for an hour. Since then, she's been constantly saying she feels like she's fighting off being sick. I told her that's not healthy. She's been eating like this for months. I don't understand how that little food could even make her feel that way. She's eating less and less. She says it's got nothing to do with her weight. I don't understand. She needs to go to a doctor. At some point, Um, this will catch up to her. Interesting. There's no second one, but he's also deleted this one. So, so it sounds like A, she has an eating disorder or something else, something physical's going wrong. And the fact that she's like, I think she's being sick and beating her chest, like she probably is having chest problems or heart problems because lack of food can cause very bad damage to your organs, heart being one of them. She needs to see a doctor pronto. Top rated comment is top rated comment is she needs to go to a doctor. Reddit is not a solution. And OP says she won't go to a doctor. I've encouraged her to. Well, if she won't go to the doctor, she'll be going to graveyard if she keeps eating like that. Those are her options. Exactly. Second one is yeah, it's very confusing coming out on the usual thing. Um no, that's not gonna help. Next comment. It could be an appetite issue. She's saying it's not about weight. However, I'd say the same thing when I was struggling with an eating disorder. I knew I was losing weight quicker than I should have been. I didn't realize how badly I was damaging my body until I was hospitalized after blacking out in the shower. They diagnosed me with orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when standing up, which can be caused by a lot of things, not just an eating disorder. This is known to be one of the first signs of damage to the heart and is common with anorexia. The constant feeling sick is likely due to too much bile and not enough food in the stomach. If she isn't making any changes or trying to work on this, it might be time to bring up this concern with a family or trusted friend. 100%. If she won't go to the doctor, scare her into it. Look up what happens when you do not eat enough and how it quite literally impacts your body in the worst ways. I've eaten poorly most of my life due to poverty and developing ED. Now I cannot even have a coffee and a pastry without immediately needing to use the bathroom. It has impacted every aspect of my life. Developing chronic pain, skin issues, sleep issues, hair falling out, brittle nails, and easily broken teeth, and I'm only 26, by the way. I lived like this for so long, there's quite literally uh, nothing doctors can do to help. She needs to see a professional before she wings up her body beyond repair. And blatantly obvious says, agreed, lived with anorexia for 20 years. It's destroying me physically and mentally and socially in every way. I have a friend who recently, last year, passed away. And it was because of her eating disorders. She was, what do you call it? Rehab, like in facility rehab for numerous times over the years. Even the ones that I knew her, much less before then. And it ruined her. And I feel so bad for her kids. They're still young. They're younger than my kids. Well, same age as my kids, which are in their 20s. And she could have been around a really long time if she had managed, and it's not her fault. I'm not saying that. But if they had managed, all of them, the doctors and everybody, had managed to get her eating under control, she might still be here. So take care of yourselves. If you have an eating disorder, none of us have to tell you. that you're not eating right. You know. Go seek help, please. Now, before you ruin your organs. Next, we have malicious compliance, and it's entitled The Manager Said to Follow the Checklist Exactly, so I did every single line. I used to work at a small warehouse where we had daily closing checklist that honestly took one no one took too seriously. It was one of those things that had clearly been written years ago and never updated, so most of us just did the important parts and went home. Recently, we got a new manager. Oh, geez, always the new manager. The new manager comes in and thinks they know everything before they even get a hold of the job. Recently, we got a new manager who was very big on accountability. Kept saying that we needed to follow procedures exactly as written, no shortcuts. He called me out in front of everyone one day for skipping a few steps that didn't really apply anymore, which was kind of embarrassing, not gonna lie. So the next shift, I decided, all right, I will follow it exactly. The checklist has things like inspect all emergency exits, which meant I had to walk across the entire building and check the doors that are basically never used. There was also a step about testing backup lighting, which involved turning off the main lights in sections and waiting to see if the backups kicked in. This whole process took longer than usual since I was doing it properly. I couldn't help the rest of the team finish up faster like I normally would. People were stuck waiting around because certain tasks depended on others being done first. By the time I was finished with everything, we were almost an hour past closing time. The manager was still there and asked why it took so long, so I showed him the list and pointed out that I followed every step exactly like he told us to. He looked pretty annoyed, but didn't really have anything to say without contradicting himself. After that, the checklist got mysteriously updated the next week, and suddenly we were allowed to skip half those steps again. Some coworkers said I was being petty, but I was just doing what I was told. You weren't being petty. You were being somebody told you to do something. They complained that you didn't, so you did it. Buddy Matt says checked emergency doors that were never used. Isn't that like the whole thing about emergency exits? They're only used in emergencies, therefore incredibly rarely, so no one spots that they're broken, blocked. Um, that's why it's important to manual check them before they don't open in an emergency. Second Reddit account says, but daily is overkill, monthly maybe. I'd say every 6 months, really. Let's go to the second comment. Second top rated comment, eater. As a firefighter, I'm 100% good with checking every day that nobody has blocked or locked the emergency exits. A lot of the really major mass casualty fires have that one thing in common. Yes, but that can be done during the day. It doesn't have to be done right at closing. Um, Cleesart says, man, I used to work at a drugstore that the emergency exit in the stock room is blocked by cardboard brooms and random junk 90% of the time. I take time to clear it and be blocked again a few days later. It was exercise and frustration. Don't know how it ever passed fire inspections because they move it before the fire inspector gets there. They cheat. They lie and cheat. Uh, Meet friend says, I don't think you were being petty. You were just doing what you were told. I'm glad the checklist has been updated, and I hope the actions such as checking backup lights are still being performed at least once a month. I'm curious, what were you supposed to be checking the emergency exits? Light signage? Bert says so that they're closed and secured, that no one that day had chosen to store stuff in front of them, and they're free from obstructions. Possibly open them with a key available to shut off the alarm to ensure that they are easily able to open and the alarms work. I think that's what you do during inspections. There are a lot of things OKP could be checking, and a lot of things that could be checked daily. At the very least, making sure they're closed and secure and that no one has bypassed alarms and left one of them propped open or the latch taped seems like a good idea, good thing to do before leaving the building for a night. I mean, and those things do make sense, but do they have to be done at closing or could they be done when the people in that area leave? Last one out checks the doors. This is Evil Buildings entitled Scene in Berlin. That's, yeah, pretty evil. It looks industrial. Why is it industrial? Where's everything in Berlin industrial? As far as I know, everything in Berlin can be industrial. I've not been there yet. Hope to go someday. Looks like the engine's on the Millennium Falcon. Larry asks, "Why is this evil?" Um, Nobody thinks it's evil. No one thinks it's evil. They're all asking, "Why is this evil?" Next we have AI. I don't know how it got so many upvotes to get on the show if people didn't agree that it was evil. Next we have AITAH, and it is entitled AITAH for refusing to give a micro influencer free coffee upgrades after she tried to get me fired. No, no one should be asking for free crap just because they're on the internet. For Pete's sake. I, 22 female, work as a barista at a small local coffee shop. We have this regular Megan, late 20s, who has like 15,000 Instagram followers. That's it. I mean, I shouldn't talk. I have none, but 15 grand. That's not very many. That's not very many. That's not even a micro. That's like a Pico influencer. She comes in almost every day and orders a super complicated latte and then asks for extra syrup, oat milk, and whipped cream for free because she promotes the shop in her stories. My boss has no formal deal with her. So technically it's against policy. I've let it slide a few times, but it was when it was slow. But last Saturday we were slammed, line out the door, 2 call outs. I was solo on bar. Oh, that's the time where you say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that today. Megan orders, I ring her up, 6:45. Then she goes to add the oat milk and the vanilla for free like usual. I told her I couldn't today because the manager was watching the cameras, true, and had already been warned about giving freebies. She got really snotty and said, fine. I'll just take my business elsewhere, and then pulled out her phone and took photos of me mid reach for a cup. Before I could even say anything, she posted it on her story. Name shop has the worst service, barista name, my name. Was so rude for no reason, don't go here. Wow. Within a few minutes, her followers left 3 1-star Yelp reviews specifically naming me, and 2 people came into the shop demanding discounts because, according to them, they saw what I did. Well, you're still not getting a discount. I have line out the door. I don't need your little posse buying coffee here. So, wing off. My boss reviewed the security footage, laughed, and told me I did nothing wrong. But now a couple of my coworkers say I should have just given her the $50 upgrade to avoid the drama and the bad press. The owner is staying out of it. But Megan keeps commenting on her Instagram post with, remember when your staff harassed me because you didn't get the food you wanted for free? Girl, please. I feel like I was just doing my job and enforcing a policy she knew about. But the shop lost a few regulars who saw her story, so maybe I should just let it go. AITAH. No, you don't need them. You don't need them. You'll get more. Trust me, you'll get more. NTA comment back saying, remember when you were too cheap to spend $1.50 for your order? I would expect an influencer to be classier. Pumpkin says, I'd use wannabe influencer. uh, Rotting Lactose Tower answers, reach out to Dad is Snacks on Instagram. He loves to blast micro influencers and roast them for being entitled. Ooh, that sounds good. I'm gonna have to look him up. Dad is, it's DAAD. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I will start it now and then I'll finish it later. Okay. Second top rated comment says, it's from Toxic Light, and they say NTA JFC, 15,000 influence. That's nothing. She's an entitled B who wants free things. Exactly. Newell, Newellin, Newell, Newelleni. Yep, they should explain the answers. They should explain that under under every single comment, this influencer you support tried to bully the poor minimum wage barista into giving her free stuff regardless of whether it could get her fired. This person you is this the person you think you're supporting because she's unkind, entitled bully? Wednesday night says, "This is the way." Their top rated comment is from Universal Refuses says, "Ignore this idiot and anyone who is influenced by them. I'd refuse to serve her if she ever comes in again. She's harassing you." Yes, exactly. Opie says they're considering quitting and focusing on their other job. Difficult Limit says, "Don't resign over this. Uh, then she wins. She will think you were fired. If anything, lean in, make employee of the month." Thought I heard a door. Next we have Neighbors from Hell, and it is entitled "Retired from being trying to be rational with my irrational neighbor." Hello all, looking for input and space to vent. I'm 26 male. In October 2023, my wife and I began renting our home. In the first couple of months, our neighbor across the street asked us not to park opposite her driveway, and for the next several months, we were happy and respectful of reviews. Whenever we have guests over, we ask them to pull up so they're not opposite the driveway. I would respond politely, "Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, please, thank you," etc. It's kind of a pain, but I didn't want to piss anyone off. I'd like to add that our road is wide enough to be a two-lane road and that large trucks and vans have never had any issues navigating or turning, etc. So it's plenty wide to get out of your driveway with a car across the street. Additionally, though the guests were in question were opposite of my across the street neighbor's driveway, they were not parked in the road. All four tires were fully on the grass of my yard. So not even in the road. On November on on April 6, 2024. Ooh, he's got dates. Dude's got dates. He takes notes. On April 6, 2024, my wife and I had a friend over to borrow a carpet vacuum cleaner and parked fully in our grass across the street from the neighbor's driveway for a few minutes. The neighbor's dog got out and was in our yard. When the neighbor came to get the dog, they yelled and screamed and cursed and yelled at us about having our friend parked opposite of the driveway. She threatened and lied about calling the police on us, which I politely encouraged. Cops never showed up, of course not. She was screaming at us, yelling that this was a health violation and blocking their driveway. It's not. Blocking your drive, if somebody can park across the street from your driveway, and it is not considered blocking your driveway, ma'am. They have to be on the same side of the street for that. She would go on about how her husband is disabled and how she is a nurse, okay? And where do people get off? Though I could sympathize with some of the challenges she faces in life, I could not for the life of me understand how a car parked on my grass for a few minutes could warrant all of this. She also kept reiterating that this section of my yard that my guests would park was an easement, so I can't have guests parked there. I don't think she understands easements. She likes to pull up into our yard and back up into her driveway. Yeah, that would not be happening. I would be putting some rocks up. The next day, I knocked on my neighbor's door thinking that maybe if you're that bad at backing up, you should not be driving, honestly. The next day, I knocked on my neighbor's door thinking that maybe we were just having a bad day the day before, to search out for a resolution that would work for both of us. Again, I got screamed, cussed, and yelled at. Eventually, her husband came to the door and we exchanged numbers, and I asked him to text me if there's an issue in the future instead of calling over to yell. So since April 2024, I've tried to be intentional about not having anyone park across from their driveway. They would give us dirty looks anytime we would see them, like our yards or the grocery store, but I didn't want to shake up the hornet's nest, so I continued to respect their wishes. In September 2024, we bought our house that we were renting. On December 21st, 2024, my wife and I were out of town. We had dog sitters at our house. My across the street neighbor's son's friend yells out a-holes at my dog sitters. Not cool. On November 21st, 2025, my wife and I were hosting an I quit my job party. I asked my neighbor's husband if he could chat. I told him about the plans for the party and that we were expecting a lot of guests that would park on the street, but that we would not block any driveways. Tried to give him a respectful heads up, didn't seem to be an issue. 2 nights ago, I told my neighbor's hus- husband that we were going to host a baby shower for a dear friend of ours the following morning, and that we would expect a lot of guests that would park on the street, but that we would not block any driveways. Again, just trying to give a thoughtful heads up. I successfully managed to keep any of the 21 cars of our guests from blocking a single driveway. Well, obviously, that's just common sense that you don't block driveways. However, one of our guests did park off the road on the across the street neighbor's easement where her son usually parks. They texted me and asked me to move the car or they would have it towed. I didn't know about this as my phone was playing music for the baby shower. When I finally saw the text, just 15 minutes late, they had already called the police. I responded to the text telling them that they would have to wait until we were finished opening gifts at the baby shower. After the gift opening was finished, I had the owner of the car move it off their side of the road. The baby shower was the one and only time any of my guests have ever parked there. The police arrived and I heard her tell the guests that I'm entitled, disrespectful, and inconsiderate. My next door neighbor offered to come out and vouch for me to the police. I heard the police tell her, I understand that you don't like it, ma'am, but this is a civil issue and they are not parked illegally. The police told me that they didn't see a problem with how my guests were parked and to try and avoid parking on my neighbor's easement at all costs, and that my yard across from their driveway was perfectly fine. Police advised me to stop giving my neighbor a heads up, stop trying to appease, and stop trying to be the bigger person, but to park where I want on my property and to film and report my neighbors if they come over and yell at it about it again. Oh, green flags for the cop. What the heck happened here? Today, my car is currently sitting across from their driveway, fully in my yard. I feel guilty for rage baiting, but I think that calling the cops on the baby shower was a low move, especially considering I kept trying everything I could to appease them. Anyway, if this is considered a wall of text, apologize. It was a very interesting wall of text, so I'm not mad about it. Please feel free to remove my post. No, don't. No, don't. No. I want to keep as much context as I could, as these neighbors have been chipping away at me for years. I wish I could just move on and stop let it bothering me. Yeah, you should just live your life and ignore them like they don't exist. Uh, OAI by BAI Polar says vent away. The neighbor's wife is unhinged and she needs to mind her own business. Who elected her to be the parking police? Even McCollege's answers parking police is not an elected position, rather a self appointed position. Velvet Desire says, and somehow they take the job very seriously too. Lollipop Dream says it's like a full time career to them. Next up, ready to comment is from JKKI, sorry. You have been the better neighbor. Ignore them at all costs and put up cameras. Crimson Lotus answers facts. OP went way above and beyond being a good neighbor, and it still wasn't enough. You can't negotiate with someone who just wants conflict. 100%. Wooden says, I hate to say it, but I wonder if you've been empowering them for years. I'd say start a simple no might have put things in legal right in the first place. OP says, yeah, somebody else said something similar. I was afraid of making enemies when we were renters. Didn't want complaints about me to the landlord. So now that I own the house, I feel a lot less willing to appease. Good for him. Gran something. Gran. We'll just call her Gran. Says, if nothing is ever good enough, then nothing is what they get. You went out of your way to accommodate their irrational and false sense of entitlement to dictate your behavior on your property. In return, they are ungrateful and vicious. So now there's a line in the sand at every single incident of harassment or intrusion on your property means a call to the police. 100%. Where do people get off? And why is she driving onto the other neighbor's yard to park? It's ridiculous. She clearly needs to learn how to turn her car, or not drive. Next, we have benign existence, and it is entitled "Grandma and Bus Asking Young Girl for Lipstick Advice." On my way to the city center, an old lady and a late teen girl came onto the bus separately. The girl sits in front, a big handbag, honestly too big to call a handbag, on the seat beside her. The lady sits behind her and asks, "Oh, does your lipstick have some kind of coloring in it?" And the girl looks kind of confused and says, "It's just a labello to fatten them." And then she goes, "Well, your lips have such a beautiful red color." The girl too, smiles wide as she thanks the lady. And then she goes into her bag and goes, "I have some with color. I have some with color with me if you want advice." Over the next minutes, it takes out 4 different lip balms. So talking to the lady, "Okay, you're carrying too much, girl." Really enjoyable to see while traveling, in my opinion. Another old lady with a walker came in together with the lady sitting in the single seat behind me, and we had a fun time softly talking about it. Aw, that's so nice. I love it. That's so great. See, if you're just kind to people, give somebody a compliment. "I like your shoes. Those are cool, man." Make their day. Accomplished News says makeup is one of those things that can spark conversation and make friends. Not with me. I don't wear it at all. I used to make I used to offer tips and cheap dupes if asked or interested, and many products. uh, Next, we have Found Satan, and it is entitled "Playing with Fire." It's from Daddy Go Fish. It says, "My wife had a dream that I have a secret second wife named Linda. Now, when mad at me, I just say Linda wouldn't get mad about that." That sounds like my husband and I. Oh, it sounds like something we would say for sure. I have literally said to my husband, "You can be replaced." Yes, even at my age and the way I look, I still get men hitting on me. It's really weird. It's really weird. Clinland says, "Is he still alive?" Bat blood is the second time for a comment. My ex literally beat the crap out of me because she had a dream I was cheating on her. Trigger. It's weird. Why are you getting mad at people about things they do in their dreams? Like, I've had dreams where my husband didn't act right, but I didn't get mad at him. It's silly. It's just a dream. It's not real life. It's not a prediction. It's not a prophecy. It's just a dream. Mind gardening answered, "I had a dream where my boss told me to have curly hair. Mine is straight." We all know we have wacky dreams. We all know that dreams are not reality as part of human being. My boyfriend at the time got mad at me. "I don't want it to hear about your dream about your boss. I can't handle that level of security anymore. Weighing that child is BS." Yes, 100%. Silver Fox 6 says, "Secure men laugh stuff like that off. Go find me. I mean one." Aw. Mind gardening answered him, "I finally found one at age 46. I recently told him about the same dream experience, and he laughed. A few weeks prior, I told him I dreamt about my most recent ex who asked me, 'So who do you love the most?' It's current partner, isn't it?" My current partner wanted to know the vibe of the convo in my dreams. It wasn't, was it a positive or negative exchange? How did you feel about it? We also have an open relationship and talk about the vast differences we experienced in monogamy versus E&M. I'll never go back to monogamy. That said, I'm available for another secure man." Mm. Well, that's wholesome. They're getting along. That's cute. Silver Fox might go for her. I'm not sure. Next, we have Just No Mill. My future Mill thinks it's self centered for me to wear white as a bride, but her daughter can wear white as the guest. Absolutely not. No way, no how, not in a million years. No. Planning a wedding with my future in laws has been difficult, to say the least. I knew it was coming because my significant other's sister in law, so his brother's wife, warned me that I would not want to talk to any of my in laws by the day of the wedding. The girl knows what she's talking about. She's talking facts. They have nitpicked every aspect of the wedding they are not paying for. Even if they were paying for it, they should have limited. I mean, even if you're paying for the wedding, as long as it's in budget, you should have limited opinions on the wedding. It's not your wedding. Just because you're paying for it, it's still not your wedding. Better yet, don't pay for your kids' weddings if you think you're gonna have if you think you can you're allowed entitled to opinions about it, don't. No. Ugh. My mother-in-law has been known the fact that I think I have a monopoly on the color white for all wedding-related events. She does. She's the bride. She thinks it's gauche for brides to be to wear white to their engagement party, bridal shower, bachelorette, or rehearsal dinner because any white beyond the day of the wedding is screaming me, and is supposedly self-centered. If you were going to be self-centered at any time in your life, it is on your birthday, minorly, and on for your wedding. Don't be a bridezilla, but it is you can be self-centered. There's a line between self-centered and bridezilla. And you gotta skate that line a little bit sometimes. Says the woman who already has had not two, not three, but four makeup and hair trials for her son's wedding, despite having a trusted hairstylist because she needs to look her absolute flawless. She's It's insane. Well, last week my future sister-in-law sent over a pic of her dress for our wedding, and it was white. White with off-white flower appliques, floor length, so the whole effect is very bridal. It's not even flattering. Mother-in-law thinks this is the perfect dress. Honestly, I'm tired and they are free to humiliate themselves. No consequences for me other than a little secondhand embarrassment. This is when you go to your bridesmaids and you go, wine now. Wine, pop, whatever, coffee, whatever you can do before the wedding starts, preferably. Gnarly Charlie is the top rated comment, and they say, have your husband lay down the law about law. Bark and bite is the second top rated comment. They say, oh, yes, none of those things are about you, so you shouldn't definitely just try to blend in. Who does she think she's convincing here? Also, isn't wearing white to someone else's wedding kind of got a definition of gosh? Yes. Um, you're right, though. She just will just embarrass herself, and all the right attention will still be on you. Mermaid 2 is a third top rated comment. And they say, agree with others that it's probably that your finance fiance handle his mother and control her. However, you could use her own strategy to shut her down. It's unlikely that your future mother-in-law actually believes it's self-centered for you to wear white. But by presenting it this way, she gets to insult you while exerting control over your plans. The way you can turn this around is responding kinds along these lines. It's been so long since you were married, you might be out of touch when it comes to common etiquette. I don't want sister in law to embarrass herself by listening to you. If she wears white to my wedding, people are going to think that she or you don't know any better. Instead, they're going to think that you don't respect us or that you're attention getting. I hate for you to both be viewed that way. After the wedding, you can return to this gentle teasing. Remember when sister in law almost wore white to my wedding? Good things I was able to put mother in law and sister in law straight about that beforehand. Save them embarrassment. We didn't have to edit our wedding pictures. That is excellent. Take that advice. Next, we have Petty Revenge, and it is entitled, I skip episodes of TV series so that my soon to be ex wife is watching on Netflix. Well, that's kind of mean. I'm currently going through a really vicious custody dispute with my soon to be ex wife. I have a great case against her, and my lawyer and I expect to win easily. But until we get a decision from the court, I won't get to see my kids, and I haven't seen them for some time already. Well, that sounds troubling. So whenever I have enough of the abuse that I receive from her on my social media accounts, I move the red line that indicates how much of an episode she has watched to the end of the episode, and then to the exact same position it was on in the next episode. So far, she hasn't worked it out that I can tell because she would watch the rest of the new episode and sometimes watch another before going back to the episode she originally was on up to and starting it again. I know it's extremely petty, but it's surprisingly cathartic. Context is my account. I haven't changed the login so that the kids can still use it. No address says at some point you will need to change the password and then sign your kids in manually on their devices so they don't know the password. And OP says, once I have custody, it's getting cut off. Aromatic P says, cut her off before she sees the finale. OP said, that would be good, but I'm pretending I've forgotten about it altogether. She would just get her own subscription and I wouldn't be able to do it on the next series that she chooses. Um, Vander V says, damn, answers that that's playing the long game. I applaud your pettiness. Marguerite Kid is the second top rated comment. They say, excellent. Find some petty revenge that's actually just petty and not ruining someone's life. Z Wild says, I gave you an upvote, but to play devil's advocate, hiding parents is possibly ruining the kids' lives. That's true. OP says, unfortunately, I have no contact with my kids until I can get a parenting order from the court. But when I did, I never disparaged them to her to them, as you should. That's how you're supposed to act. Their mother, on the other hand, tells them lies about me constantly. She unblocks me long enough to spew abuse at me before blocking me again. Okay, you need one of those there is a parental communication apps that you can get, and all of your communication has to go through those. Sometimes the court will order it, and if they do that, that's not good for them. There are no DVOs or DV directions against me. I'm not allowed to react if I want to maintain the narrative that she's the nut job. So I do this every now and then. It's my release valve and it works for me. It's nothing serious. She used to, I assume, still does get really stoned just about every night. So I'm guessing that she just thinks she was too stoned to remember what happened in the episode I skipped. Gosh. Oh, she is a nutter job. There are places you can go on YouTube that are live court custody cases and stuff. They're fascinating. Tight Lab says, for the first few months after my divorce, I would wait until I could tell my ex was invested in a show, and then I would go to the settings and add it to the blocked show list. He never figured it out. I just thought Netflix randomly removed his shows. Wow, found Satan. Next is Am I the Jerk? And it is entitled Am I the Jerk for Taking All the Food from My Ex-Boyfriend's Fridge? Probably not at this rate. I, 24 female, was dating my ex-boyfriend, 31 male. Okay, that's an issue. For about a year and a half and living together for almost a year. My ex can't cook. Before we started dating, he basically lived off energy drinks and frozen meals. So when we were living together, I did all the cooking because I did all the cooking, I also did all the grocery shopping. You can make him grocery shop, it's fine. He can follow a list. He's not incompetent, is he? He used to give me cash before I went to the store, but he hasn't contributed to the grocery budget for a few months now. I broke up with him for a variety of reasons, but mostly because I was sick of his bang maid. He wasn't because I was sick of being his bang maid. Oh, I'm sick of being his bang maid. Okay. I broke up with him for a variety of reasons, but mostly because I was sick of being his bang maid. He wasn't a slob and didn't leave a mess everywhere, but he did never actually cleaned anything. So on top of doing all the cooking, I was also doing all the laundry, dishes, and cleaning. So a few weeks ago, I broke up with him, and the next day, a friend and me took the day off of work and cleared out my stuff. Because I paid for all of it, I also took all the food out of the kitchen. I cleared the fridge, freezer, and the pantry cabinet. There was nothing left in the apartment to eat. I also took all the cleaning supplies, but I doubt he'll miss those. He doesn't clean anything. I know it was petty, but it's not like I took his stuff. I'm the one who paid for the food. A few of my friends say that I was unnecessarily mean and I should have left at least enough for a few sandwiches, but groceries are expensive and he wouldn't know what to do with any of it anyway. No, NTA. Like, this is why you don't date someone in your 20s that's like 6, 7 years older than you. 5 at the most. I Love Wally says, it's a top rated comment, and they say NTA and good for you. Ready Red says, man really got cut off from the full service package and didn't know what to do next. Rex Master said, I would have left him an energy drink. See, I didn't See, I didn't take anything he would miss or need. I think they missed a word. Plus, she bought all of them. It's hers. She bought it. It's hers. If you buy something, it's yours. Search OK is the second top rated comment. It says, honestly, if you paid for it, it's yours. I swear I'm clairvoyant. Uh, yeah, it's a bit petty to leave him with literally nothing, but after a year of you handling everything and him not contributing for months, it's understandable. This isn't you stealing his stuff. It's you taking back what you paid for. He's an adult and he can figure out how to feed himself now. Soft Shoulder said, if you can't cook, it was all going to spoil anyway. Exactly. Yeah, nowadays, yeah, DoorDash. Somebody said something about DoorDash. Realistic Shopping says, is the third top rated. Realistic Shopping is the third rated comment, and she says, you did the right thing because you're 100% right that he would have let the food rot and your money would have been wasted. And now she has good food to eat. Next, we have Signs of the Story, and is entitled, I've Had Enough of This. It's actually funny. Table 67. If you do the 6-7 meme, you will go to hell. Oh, that's funny. I can understand getting over that. Ricky from Scotland says, customer, will the same policy be applied to 69? Forgotten End says, no, that is encouraged. Oh. Kitchen Swagger says, no, make it table 66A, like Chinese buildings, avoid the fourth floor, but have a 3A. And of course, a gap between 12 and 15. And 12 and 14. Why not 14? Because 14 has a 4 in it. Oh, okay. They have a gap between 12 and 15. Okay, Hope says, why not 14? Exactly. And Kitchen Swagger says, because it has a 4 in it, and 4 sounds like death in Chinese, so 4s are avoided wherever possible. Wow. Did not know that. Learned something new today. Very interesting, as they say. Preference Working says, soon it will be like buildings that don't have a 13th floor. Or a 4 in China. Expectation versus reality. I know you're ready for it. I got a bird feeder with a camera. That's cute. A little birdie and a bird feeder with a camera. That looks a little close to me, but what do I know? Also, if you're watching YouTube, there's a couple of channels that uh, feed the wildlife and then set up a trail cam and you watch the whole thing. Oh my. Oh my. Yeah, we don't want that. No, 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 no. That needed a trigger warning. That needed a trigger warning. Get it off my screen. Thank you. He was not impressed with the built-in siren nor me throwing shoes at it at night in my pajamas. No, that can go away. Tagotis is the top rated comment, and he says, what kind of bird is that? Antil's parrot. Parrat. Oh, that's funny. Past and future days. We have 3, and I love them, but there's one fat ass squirrel who sits squarely in front of the camera and eats sunflower kernels so defiantly every morning. All right. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Um, I try to go live at least 4 times a week, usually about 12 noon Eastern time. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell your ex-wife that you hate. that gets high every evening and watches Netflix. If you have a story of your own or come across a good one in the wild, please send us an email entitled submission. If you would like an email link to the day's current live, send an email entitled subscribe. The email is biddybrunchbunch, all one word, at gmail.com. And the email address is also in the description as well as all my socials, so sign up for that. Um, all right, I guess that's it for that. Next, we have Zillow Gone Wild. We have a real estate, and it is called Hella Charm, Live in Europe in the USA. This is in New Orleans, which has a very European vibe sometimes. I don't know. Why is this not working today? It's very slow today. It's probably the VPN. Oh, very nice looking townhouse. Is this like the garage? I don't know. I don't know. It is $4.5 million. No, $4,500. No, 4.5 million. I can't find my my commas here. 7 bedrooms, 8 baths, 7,416 square feet. So let's see what we got. No, it's not really a garage. It's a walk-through thing. That's weird. Little patio is nice, but I think you're sharing that with other people, right? No, there's a pool-ish thing. Is this just all yours? Because that's nice. It is $4.5 million. Wow, look at those tall ceilings. Holy cow, that's nice. Needs a little more color. It needs some warm color to pull it in a little bit. It's too expansive for me. Nice. Oh, that staircase is beautiful. I would want it to not be white though. I'd have to refinish that probably. It is beautiful though. Nice. Nice big dining room. More dining room. Kitchen is interesting. I don't know that I like that kitchen. It looks like bathroom. It looks like bathroom cupboards. You know what? There's nothing on top. There's no top cupboards, which would probably be great for me with no top cupboards, but where would you put everything? I mean, these are obviously like decorative. Like I need space to store stuff. I cook. Okay, why is there a hand? Why is there a hand hanging from the door? Yeah, I'm not liking this kitchen. It's not my favorite. It is not my favorite, and the hand is freaking me out. Oh, phew. And where was the refrigerator? Did you see a refrigerator? Because I didn't. Lovely fireplace. Bedroom. The chandelier. I think I'd replace that with a ceiling fan, especially in New Orleans. It's got the French doors so you can open up to the outside. Nice. All right, go back. Is this the cat bed? Because I would totally use that as a cat bed if I could have a cat, which I can't because my husband's allergic. I like that. That's very nice, very tasteful. Well done. Except for the chandelier. Don't really care for the chandelier in the bathroom. I thought chandelier in the elevator was bad enough, much less one in the bathroom. Nice big closet. Is that the whole thing? Holy cow, that's huge. Yeah, we have not seen much of this house, actually. Is that a breakfast nook thing? Oh, that's so weird. There's literally a second kitchen, and I still don't like it. Still not a fan. The upper cabinet just has a weird feel to it. I do kind of like that the sink is right next to the stove. That's kind of nice. That lovely staircase again. Really needs some color though. This house needs a little bit of color. I mean, I thought my house was white. Another bathroom, another bedroom. I doubt that the furnishings are staying, so I don't know why they're in there. Another bathroom, another bedroom. This is the bedroom, the white room, another bathroom. You're not showing the toilets at all. Another bedroom, another outside shot. Oh, wow, you can open that right up. No screens, though. You're going to get a bunch of bugs unless it's in the middle of winter. Why don't they have like screens? Like, so many bugs. I cannot stand having flies in my house and mosquitoes. Oh, it's even got a basement area. Nice. A basement in New Orleans. Another bedroom. Oh, it looks like it has orange trees. That's lovely. Oh, yeah, we got about 5 more pictures to go. That is a big house. It's ginormous. Ginormous. Yeah, it's a really big house. Oh, my favorite. Oops. Let me do that. Living room. Can't read. I can't read it. Where do you park? You have all this room. You're going to have a lot of people. Where do you park? No, there's like 2 houses here. Yeah, that house is huge. Um, French Quarter, Mason Dubin, privately gated compound, originally constructed in 1807 and meticulously restored by the owner of an antique shop. um, it's not too far from the river. It could be a bad thing. The principal residence is anchored by a grand ballroom scale salon with soaring ceilings, sunlit dining room, has a chef's kitchen with literally no storage. Um, Guest quarters has 4 bedrooms. That must have been the one with the smaller kitchen. Secondary gourmet kitchen. And it has a carriage house with a hidden driveway. I didn't see that. And that has 2 additional bedrooms and baths, along with independent living quarters. So this has 3 kitchens. And covered gated parking for 2 vehicles. Offered fully furnished if desired. So we're keeping the furniture. Should have looked at the furniture more closely, I guess. Okay. 8 bathrooms, 7 bathrooms, 7 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. 6 are full bathrooms and 2 half baths. Um, Primary bedroom is wood flooring for most of the bedrooms. One has stone flooring. Family room has stone flooring. Great room has stone flooring. Kitchen has wood flooring. Oh, no, there's 3 kitchens. One with wood, 2 with stone. Laundry has stone flooring. Living rooms, wood flooring. Office, sitting room, den, dining room. Heating is central and multiple heating units, so that's nice. 3 central air units for 3 different areas, the house. Appliances include dryer, dishwasher, ice maker, microwave, oven, range, refrigerator, wine cooler, and washer. Uh, Features stone counters and wired for sound. Does have a fireplace. Total structure area is 10,507 square feet, and the livable area is 7,400 square feet. Which is an oversized city lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot of outside. There was a lot of outside, but not like grass outside. It was annual tax amount is $29,000. So you better be having you best be having a job and a half. Royal Effective says I knew where this was from the exterior. I figured it was somewhere like New Orleans. Sunjack says I think my hair intuitively knew where this was and preemptively frizzled. Second top rated comment is cute martyr. Is this house featured on AMC's Interview with a Vampire? OP says, I hate to say they all look alike, but a great many do. Um, C says that house is on Rue something and it looks nearly identical. And there's like they're all Rues in New Orleans because Rue means road in French. Possible plastic is the top rated comment. They say you probably will never find a nicer house that requires you to hose puke off the doorstep every morning. Little pieces don't forget to pressure wash the piss off your bricks. But be careful because that might damage the bricks, says Jared. No, not Jared. Am. Server life weighing these people. No picture today. Happening now. Table walked in at 6:15 to an empty restaurant. Sit, chat a while, and shove me off every time I come by. Eventually order a hummus plate and a couple of drinks. In the time since the hummus plate arrived, I've had a table come in, order, sit, leave, and still 30 minutes on top. Okay, so they're there to chat. I go back to see if they'd like any entrees. They still haven't looked at the menu and said if you were getting paid hourly, this would be great for you. That was 25 minutes ago. Still have not looked at the menu to order entrees. Edit. They open menus at 8:35. 25 till close, over 2 hours. Edit 2. They've ordered every single app to share 10 minutes before close. Almost. Why are you closing at 9? Almost 3 hours and a grand total of 3 drinks, 1 app, and 1 entree so far. Who knows how late they'll stay? Edit 3. It's nearly 10 p.m., almost an hour past close, and they've been the only ones here since 7:30. Final edit. They left the house at 10:10. Door was locked, and I was gone by 10:12. Tip was exactly 20%. Weighing these guys. Curious says, let them know in no uncertain terms that you close at 9. Tell them they're welcome to leave while you do your side work. They're welcome to eat while you do your side work. You already know they'll probably won't tip enough to be worth the hassle they've been, but don't compound it by acting like camping after work hours will be permissible. Put chairs up on see, I would like at least order stuff. We have a friend of mine and I and our husbands have like stayed for hours at a restaurant. But A, it wasn't busy at all. And B, we ordered and we tipped well. um so they give all the advice of what to do and OP says manager is very much against that. Honestly, they need two closing times at a restaurant. Like an hour before you intend to close, you need to have like last orders need to be put in. Spizzle says I've been this person when an old friend comes to town, but I literally buy my camping permit and just open up with giving them $20 cash to who knows how much, depending on the restaurant, and let them know we're catching up. I've never been the last person in the restaurant. um, McBuggykin says I love the concept of camping permit. That's a good idea. This is how I do it too, even though I almost never camp in restaurants. If I do for some reason, I tip an extra 20% for every half hour I'm there after we finish. What I don't get is why. When I finish eating at a restaurant, I'm going to GTFO as soon as possible so I can smoke and relax in my own wanging house in my own bed. Well, that's because you're not sociable, sir, and you smoke. I never understand people who camp at restaurants. Spizzle says, so you do it differently? The cash tip up front lets them know that you know. Uh, Adding extra afterwards lets them know that you're a good tipper, but the whole time they're assuming that you're like the OP party because 95% of the time they are. You buy a camping permit before camping. Okay. This is from Confession and it is entitled I ignored my best friend's last calls because I assumed he was high again. I have an old phone in a drawer because of four missed calls. One at 1:14, 1:19, 1:27, and 1:31 from my best friend. We'd known each other since we were 12. He was basically family. You know, the kind of friend who knew where the spare key was, what to say to my mom when she was in a mood, what kind of beer I'd bring before I even got there. For most of my life, if you said his name, mine came right after. Then he got hurt at work and put on pain meds, and everything started sliding. Not all at once, but that would have been easier. It was slower than that. First, it was him being tired all the time, then borrowing money. Once I start borrowing money, it's all downhill from there. Then lying, then disappearing for 3 days, coming back with the same story that made no sense but sounded practiced. I spent 2 years picking him off floors, taking him out of dumb crap, covering for him with his sister, driving to him detox twice, lending him money I knew I'd never see again, answering calls at 1 o'clock in the morning, because what if this time it was actually serious? It's that last part that matters. because by the end, because by the end, every call felt serious. Every text was, "Please pick up." I swear this time was different. I just need you for 10 minutes, and I was so tired, not angry, just worn out clear through. The night he died, he called me at 1:14, then 1:19, then 1:27, then 1:31. After the fourth call, he sent one text, "Pick up, please." I didn't. I remember thinking if I answer, I'm going to get dragged for another 5-hour disaster where he cries, lies, asks for money, swears he's done, and I still go to work exhausted while he sleeps it off. So I turned the phone face down and went to bed, went back to sleep. His sister called me at 6:40 in the morning. He'd left her a voicemail too, drunk and scared, saying he called someone he owed money to and thought he'd made a mistake. Then he called me. They found him behind a gas station. They found him behind a gas station 2 towns over, beaten so badly he never woke up. Everyone says the same thing, that I'm not responsible, that I was tired, that he'd trained everyone around him not to trust his emergencies anymore. All of this is probably true, but I was awake, I saw his name, and I let it ring. That's heartbreaking. It is not your fault. Boy who cried wolf. How are you supposed to know? Um, I wish that he had gotten more help from others, not from you. Despite fantastic, the top first comment, and they say, seeing those timestamps can really spike guilt fast. But a few missed calls, especially from someone you've dealt with these high again patterns before, doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong or that something bad has happened. Exactly. Lauren answers, I know in my head, I do. The part I can't get past is that I did not miss them. I saw them. Oh, Lauren is the OP. Okay. Um, I saw them and made a choice. Maybe it was a reasonable choice after everything, maybe. But reasonable does not feel like the right word when I know how that night ended. I hope they found his murderer. Denial Entertainer says, listen, I had a friend who also took the path and I didn't want to go down. I ended up distancing myself from her. 2 months later, she was in a plane crash and everyone died but her. It sounds like I'm making this up. She had burns all over her body, was hospitalized for months, and almost didn't make it. She did pull through, though, but it was so apparent to me that I was in the wrong to abandon her. You and I both understanding being wrung out by a situation, making a choice, and having regret. A very human choice. Mine was 10 years ago. The pain at first was unbearable. In time, it became wisdom that I'll act different in the future. Yes, have boundaries because in your situation, you were never going to save your friend. It was an impossible situation, but I also understand that immeasurable pain of feeling that you let someone down. Forgive yourself. You'll feel because you are good. You feel because you are good. Euphoric C says it's heartbreaking. You were exhausted and not uncaring. Addiction blurs real emergencies, but doesn't make this your fault. And OP says, thank you. I think exhausted is the word people keep giving me, and I know they mean it kindly, but it is hard to hear uncaring in any way when I know he called and I still let it ring. Chip Swag said, you did your best, champ. I don't know what kind of pain will ever go away, but you did the best you could. Not everyone can be saved. Um, yeah, that's really heartbreaking. Interesting AF. Truck's brakes fail, forcing use of runaway ramp at 90 miles an hour. Okay. You ready? I've always wondered about those ramps. Anyway, they usually have dirt. Okay, here we go. Show while it does not. Whew, that has to be scary as heck when that happens. Not gonna lie. Top rated comment is from Bitcoin, and they say, amazing low tech, perfect solution. Rock says, make you wonder how many times this type of thing happened before someone came up with a solution. Welp says, this happened all the time before the invention of the jack brake. Um, Runaway truck ramps were being built basically across the country where there was a steep enough grade that's long enough because of how easy it was to overheat the brakes as trucks got heavier and heavier in the first half of the 20th century. Fun fact, the inventor of the Jake brake actually had this happen to him. He was driving across the country in the early 30s in a diesel powered truck, which he saw as the future and wanted to prove to everyone how good it was. Coming through California, his brakes overheated going down the San Bernardino Mountains, and his truck was unstoppable, heading for rail tracks that a train was headed through, and in the end, he barely managed to stop a few feet before the tracks. That's what made him so interested in the idea of engine braking, something that can't fail the same way brakes can. There was some drama, but the Jake brake made it to the market in the 60s and reached ubiquity in the 70s due to how effective it was at saving lives. That's cool. Next, we have Emma the a-hole and is entitled AITA for not being happy at becoming an uncle. Depends on the circumstances. My wife, female 38, has a younger brother, male 34. He's clearly the most beloved in the family and can do no wrong, but he's a good guy. He has a girlfriend, also a very nice girl, and they moved in together last year. Now, me and my wife wanted to have kids, but 4 years ago she was diagnosed with cancer, and she's lucky to be in total remission. That's heartbreaking. I'm very sorry that that happened. Therapy stopped us from even trying, and given her age, it means we will probably never have kids. That's awful. I'm very sorry. That doesn't mean you get to be mad if somebody else gets to have kids. 1 month ago, we were invited by her parents for lunch with the brother and girlfriend, but unfortunately, my wife got ill and the evening before, and we had to cancel. They reprogrammed 2 weeks later, but again, she got a high fever in the morning and we could not join. For some reason, everyone sounded very angry at this. Her brother even asked if I thought it was only stress and not a real illness. I got pissed and explained the fever is real and closed the conversation. Finally, yesterday we had the dinner. Well, I mean, people can get mad. You're allowed to be mad that you're messing everyone else's plans up numerous times, not just once. Um, I mean, I kind of understand that. We have friends that we've been trying to have over for ages, and it keeps getting pushed off because they're not in the best of health, which is a shame, but it is what it is. Part of the problem is they don't get back to us in time. Not my friends. So. At the end, they told us there was a gift for us and they wanted to record our reaction with their phones. Inside the package, there was a pregnancy test. My wife started ugly crying and saying that it was happiness and hugging, crying for a few minutes in the future. Mom, I think that was a very tacky way of telling somebody that you're pregnant. That's just tacky. I'm sorry. Nobody wants your pee stick at their dinner or anywhere near them. Um, I'm with their different stages. Happiness for them, regret for pain for my wife. And my brother-in-law said something along the lines of, "Now you know why I was upset for you skipping dinners." To which I, with less than pleasant tone, answered they could have simply called us. No need to make all that scene. That's true. Everyone around us was shocked and uncertain how to react. My wife started feeling unwell, actually fever again, so we basically left. You should figure out where these fevers are coming from because this does not sound healthy. Now I know I should say sorry to them, but at the same time, the fact nobody, even her mother, thought that this could have been a somewhat stressing moment for my wife makes me upset. They all have rights to be happy, and we should be for them. So I feel like I'm the asshole here. You kind of are, and so are they. Everybody sucks here. Everybody sucks here. Weekly aid says NTA. Also, since when is somebody else's pregnant gift to others? No kidding. Uh, the close 10B says, I hate when people say main character syndrome, but but brother's golden child seems to have impacted him more than OP may have realized. Bizarre to think you're giving a gift to your siblings, especially the one with the history of OP's wife, but even in general by having a child. Yes, your child is not my sister's children are not my gifts. I love them. I love all of my nieces and my nephews. They're not gifts to me, and neither are my children gifts to them. Okay. Nancy says it's gross to give a pea stick to anyone other than your husband. If they want you to open a package, they should have at least give you a gift, like best auntie and uncle tea or whatever. Yes, exactly. Um, exactly. Third temporary comment is a apprehensive title, and it says NTA giving you a used pea stick in a box and wanting to record your reactions on their phones is way over the top, in my opinion. The idea that only a feeling person is allowed to have when surprised with big news is unmitigated. Happiness for the person who is simply giving a sign of the selfish and emotionally stunted world we live in. Of course, you may have mixed feelings. You're an adult with your own experience that need to be processed. Your brother is a golden boy. I would recommend that you don't apologize. You have a right to your feelings, and your wife is allowed to feel unwell at any time. Don't let them make you feel bad for being human. Girl at Cupcake says it's extremely weird to give a pee stick to someone else other than the involved partner. Extremely weird. Plus, after the official time frame to read it, it's no longer reliable. It could and likely will stay positive, but some will fade and appear blank and negative, invalid. Oh, who cares? Obviously, it was still good. Next, we have Overheard, entitled War. Overheard a man talking to two boys at a restaurant. Man, put your phones away and finish your food. We need to leave soon. Grandpa goes to bed early. First boy, I thought Grandpa can't sleep because of the war. Man, wrong grandpa, bud. Your mother's father was in the war. My dad was in a different war. First boy, which war? Second boy, gang war. Ever hear of the Crips and the Bloods? First boy, yeah. Second boy, grandpa was part of that crap. Man, don't say crap, we're eating. First boy, but grandpa's white. Second boy, we all are, bro. You ever notice that? Man, grandpa was a paramedic, not a gang member, but he saved the lives of many wounded gang members in marginalized communities, often at the risk of his own life. First boy. So mom's dad killed people and your dad saved people? Man, mom's dad did what was necessary to protect our country from outside forces, whereas my dad did his best to keep people alive so that fighting the war could mean something when it's won. Oh, what a good dad. He's got it going on. Die Pow, which grandpa can't sleep, the soldier or the EMT. I've worked with a lot of EMTs in the field. Most were part of the local fire department and their PTSD was very different. The Ms. Wall says, my uncle was an EMT back in the 70s or 80s, and it messed him up. He started doing hard drugs to cope. His words, not mine. At some point, it became a full blown addict. Now he's legit insane. Been sober for 15 years or so, but insane. That's sad. Messed up his head. Soft Weather says, I don't care if this post is real or not, but I found it absolutely amusing no matter which point of view you look from. Kudos to the dad's parenting for communicating things sternly yet effectively. Like, I know how the sons know their family history, but we don't have all the facts quite lined up yet. Excuse me. Shows how the sons do listen, but there is still plenty of room of growing and learning to do. Drowsy Neko says, honestly, the parenting stood out here to me too. The dad handled that way better than most people would in that situation. Yeah, that dad was good. Good dad. Oh my. Oh my. This is gonna be a good one. This is a not safe for work one, so be warned. It's from True Off My Chest. It is entitled My mother played favorites to the absolute extreme, and now she's reaping the consequences. So I, 33 female, I'm the youngest of three children. I have two older brothers. I'll call them Alex, 39 male, and Lewis, 35 male. So the kids are 39, 35, and 33. Our dad abandoned the family when I was still a toddler. Although she's had various relationships across the years, for the most part, she's been a single mom all my life. I've always gotten the sense that she likes both my brothers more than me. She was kind of a boy mom long before social media made it a thing. But specifically, Alex has always been her favorite child, and she has never particularly uh, about hiding it. How much you want to bet Alex is a half sibling? Bets? Anybody want to bet? To be honest, I think when my dad walked out, she started relying on him to be her emotional provider, and things just snowballed from there. There's pretty high level of enmeshment, emotional incest there, and be inclined to have a degree of sympathy for Alex if it didn't also make him the worst wagging person that I know. Growing up, he was a bully, plain and simple. It sounds like Alex is not a nice person. He terrorized other kids at school, and he terrorized Lewis and I at home. And talking. Uh, I'm not talking some light name calling or pigtail pulling or standard brotherly teasing. This kid was doing straight up Machiavellian psychological warfare crap from the age of about 9. I don't I won't bog this down with excessive details about any specific incidents. Well, good because dang, it's already like super like wallow text. But just know that he got expelled from two separate schools by the age of 14 for how he treated other kids. That Lewis ran away from multiple homes as a teenager exclusively because of him. That he locked me in a tiny cupboard under the stairs so frequently that I still struggle with intense claustrophobia even now. Our mother always defended and enabled this behavior. Other kids were lying. I know people like that. It's always the other kids lying, even though they're lying to your face. And you know it because you saw what happened. They will not believe you. They will not even believe another adult that saw it. It was just rough housing. The school was just pandering to soft parents. Lois and I were being dramatic. You get the picture. Anytime anyone else tried to reprimand him for misbehaving, our mom would counter that by bullying him, buying him a treat of some sort to make him feel better that everyone was so mean to him. Obviously, that meant none of the reprimands ever struck, and he was never inclined to change. Yeah, quite a way to go. As you might expect, this enabling caused him to grow from a crappy kid to a diabolical adult. Just genuinely unkind and unpleasant to be around for any extended period of time. He's still violent, mean-spirited, entitled brat. He's always been, but he's also, unfortunately, super, super, superficially, superficially charismatic and charming enough to be one of those people the crap never seems to stick, and until it did, we'll get to that. He also managed to get two women to marry him. The first realized what a crap stain he was and divorced him, though not before having a child with him. The second, who I'll also call Amy, has stayed married to him and is just as crappy as he is. Amy also has a child from a previous relationship. I'll call him Jake, who was 12 when she met Alex. Um, it was low contact with Alex as I could be without causing myself grief at that point. I left a job opportunity abroad shortly after, so I only met Jake a handful of times, but to my perception, he was just a normal kid at that stage. My work contract meant I lived in Canada for 3 years, and though my mother and I heard Jake was being a big issue for Alex, apparently the kid had all kinds of mental problems, including anxiety, pathological lying, and an eating disorder. And that was so hard for poor Alex to live with. Heavy sarcasm, if that wasn't obvious. I kept my sympathies reserved for Jake and took any information about Alex as suffering as a result of his behavior with a hefty dose of skepticism. Turns out I was right to do so. When my work contract ran out, my partner and I moved back to the UK. Jake was 15 by this point and totally different to the kid I remembered. To be fully transparent, in hindsight, there were a lot of red flags. I should have caught upon meeting him again, and my biggest regret will always be not intervening sooner. I've been told by multiple people that Jake had anxiety and an eating disorder, so I suppose I chalked up a lot of his behavior to those things. However, after a few months after I got back, Alex and Amy went on a second honeymoon. The plan had been for Alex's daughter and Jake to stay with my mom. However, she fell and broke her leg just before, and it wasn't able to take care of the kids. My boyfriend and I offered to do so instead, and they came to stay with us for 2 weeks. Um, I'm confused. Why does Alex have his daughter at all? Especially for 2 weeks? What? It became apparent quite quickly that something deeper was going on. To begin with, it was immediately obvious that Jake did not have a restrictive ED. Anytime he was offered food, the kid ate like he didn't know when he'd get a chance to eat again. And listen, I struggled with EDs myself in my teens and 20s. I know about binge purge and binge restrict cycles. This wasn't that. This was very clearly someone who was not used to having full access to food, reveling in finally getting it. He was also very much overly polite, like he was afraid he'd be punished for not saying please and thank you enough times. It was obvious he was being mistreated at home, and I had plans to talk to him about it and escalate it to the authorities if necessary anyway. But it reached a head when I went to a friend's birthday dinner. I came home and found Jake hysterical and my boyfriend very stressed. Again, I won't go into explicit details, but basically, my boyfriend had gotten the kids fast food which Jake seems hesitant to accept. Later, after Alex's daughter had been put to bed and they were alone, Jake offered to do something incredibly alarming and inappropriate for my boyfriend. Obviously, boyfriend rejected him, and Jake had gotten upset and panicky and started begging boyfriend to let Jake get it out of the way now because he thought boyfriend would be kinder about it than Alex is. Oh my. Transpired that in order to earn certain privileges at home. Poor Jake. Jeez, oh pizzas. Jake was expected to do certain acts with my worthless brother that treats like fast food typically meant something on the more extreme end. I'll assume you're smart enough to fill in those blanks. Obviously, my boyfriend and I contacted the authorities over this once we'd gotten Jake settled and assured that he did the right thing by telling us and that no one was mad at him. I also reached out to Lewis, who has very little to do with Alex, but I felt like if he'd noticed anything, he could be another person in Jake's support system. He said he hadn't, however, he confessed that there had been occasions when we were kids where Alex made inappropriate comments to him, and although nothing physical ever happened, Lewis always felt like it could based on Alex's other behaviors. He made it known he was willing to be in Jake's corner on this. Obviously, our mother was a different story. When Alex was arrested, Mom called me in a fit of rage and really tore a strip off of me for reporting him. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. If you find out about this, it is the right thing to do to get these people away from other children. They should not be in the general population, ever. She said that she told me Jake was a pathological liar and that she couldn't believe that I'd tried to send my own brother down based on his word alone. That is not what happened, ma'am. That is not what happened here. This was a completely different thing. Watch yourself. Watch yourself, Grandma. When it was proven in court that Jake was telling the truth and Alex was sent to prison, she admitted that something had happened but insisted that Jake had instigated it. Why? Why would a little kid instigate anything ever? These people that want to put the blame on somebody else instead of where it squarely belongs. Oh my goodness. And was only exposing Alex because he was bitter and he couldn't have him for himself and tried to flame Alex as the real victim. What the heck? She went on a whole smear campaign against this poor kid on social media until the courts got involved and she got told she'd face legal repercussions if she didn't stop. To this day, she maintains that Alex is the true victim and doesn't belong in prison. And that has been enough for both Lewis and I to finally drop her completely. Probably smart. This happened 2 years ago. I've not willingly spoken to my mother since, and to be honest, my life has been better for it. Earlier this month, however, she tried reaching out to both Lewis and I. Essentially, Alex had been paying for her lifestyle all his adult life. Since he's in prison, however, he hasn't been able to financially support her as he used to, and she's reached a point where she can't live as she used to. Oh, you poor thing. Is my sarcasm enough? She's not about to become totally destitute or anything, but she has had to sell her fancy car and might have to downsize from her big house to something more modest. Dang, I wish I had batteries in that violin I can't find right now. Um, she also said she doesn't have anybody left in her life because, surprise, surprise, it turns out when you support your child abuser's son and tell everyone his victim is actually asking for it and just got vindictive when he didn't get his way, people don't want to hang out with you. Shocker that. She and Amy have had some dispute over money and are no longer on speaking terms. She's lonely and miserable and wants Lewis and I to help her with that, but I just can't bring myself to do it. No, and nor should you. This might sound terrible, but in my opinion, this is what she gets after 4 decades of raising and then defending a terrible, horrible person and enabling the suffering of his victims. I would add no good in there. A terrible, horrible, no good person. No good, very bad person. Frankly, my only regret is not cutting her off sooner. And Lewis said the exact same thing. Good for you and Lewis for being on the same side of this. Kindly performer said, wow, I would not even be talking to your mom unless she somehow hit her head and sees the truth for what it is. And even so, she would never get my financial or emotional support for anything. Amen. Rima Private said she stayed loyal to a predator, so now she can stay loyal to her empty house now. Yep, 100%. Second top rated comment is Jace Black, and he says, I'm so sorry for everything you have gone through, but referring to your last sentence, if you had cut off your mom sooner, then the kids have would not have been at your house, and Jake would have never told you about the abuse and gotten out of that situation. You saved that kid. Your mom is getting every ounce of karma. No one owes her crap. Now that Alex is in jail and can't pay for her life, you and Lewis are suddenly good enough. I wouldn't give her a single penny. She blamed a child. And honestly, if it comes out that she knew about this abuse and ignored it, then she could have had child charges filed on her. Not only that, but she and Alex took the steps to lay out issues that this kid had to explain away all the signs he gave of the abuse. I'd hope that Alex's wife would also get charged because there's not a snowball's chance in hell that she didn't know what was going on, what he was doing to her son. Is Jake better in a better home now, getting therapy? Have you been able to keep contact with him? OP says, can't confirm Jake is in a safe home now and in therapy. We're allowed to contact, but he's understandably hesitant to maintain any connection to our family. Perfectly reasonable. So we're letting him set the pace on how much or how little he wants. And he might come back someday and say, thank the hell out of you. Where somebody, LEJ asked where his mom was. And OP says, to be honest, it's a bit unclear extent to which she knew. She denied all knowledge in the record, but she stayed with Alex after the fact and voluntarily gave up custody of Jake to be with him, which explains volumes in my opinion. Also, when I got home that night and Jake was effectively having a panic attack, he kept saying, they said I'll get in trouble too, which implies he was hearing that from more than just Alex. Although he never mentioned who the other people were, I assume it was for Amy and or my mother, but I never had confirmation on that. Alex is a piece of garbage. He's a piece of garbage. He should be thrown away. Mom's not butter. Mom's a piece of trash. Should also be thrown away. Next we have What Do I Do? And it is entitled Manager's Husband Called Me. I've been working in an office for 4 years. The manager was away this weekend, but still needed to correspond with her about covering another shift. Her husband called me last night from a no-caller ID multiple times. I pick up and he asks me who I am multiple times and says he found call from this number in his wife's phone. I told him I have no idea who his wife is. He hangs up, then calls back and says her name. I exclaim that that is my office manager. I told him to stop bothering me. Do I say anything at her work or just pretend like nothing happened? No, you should say something. You should say something because he's going through her phone. Substantial visit said I would say something because him calling you is uncalled for. Green Cantaloupe answers, this is the right answer. Hey, manager, I got some weird calls from your husband this weekend. After that, just go silent and honestly answer any follow-up questions she has. It's very, very likely they have already had a fight about it. Pat Fox says, I got some strange calls from someone claiming to be your husband is better. Hope he doesn't know for certain that it was really her husband, and making a firm accusation is likely to start crap if it wasn't. That's true. Woman in question is the second top rated comment, and she says, absolutely, you need to inform her that her husband is harassing her employees. Yeah, because she can get in trouble for that. The third top rated comment is Fish for the Electorate. I have been in a similar situation. I got a call late on a Saturday night from my manager's inebriated boyfriend. The manager and I had a talk earlier that day because I had broken my foot and I had called just to give a heads up that I'd be on crutches. I told the boyfriend all of that, but he was still convinced that I was an affair partner. When I showed up to work Monday morning, I didn't have to say anything as my manager already knew about the phone call and was extremely apologetic that it happened. As it turns out, the manager's relationship was physically abusive. If your manager doesn't immediately say anything to you regarding the call, I would definitely tell her. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Next, we have Oh No Consequences. It is entitled OOP's now ex-boyfriend humiliates her in front of her friends for her gift and then cries when she returns his gift back and dumps him. This was originally from True Off My Chest, so we get two in a row. My 28 female boyfriend, 30 male, ridiculed my gift for him for our anniversary in front of our friends. Yesterday, me, my boyfriend, who I'll call Mike, and our friends decided to go grab lunch together to celebrate our second year anniversary. Mike was a perfect boyfriend, even though we met on an online blind date arranged by our common friends. He always made it into a point to treat me nicely and communicate with me calmly. But everything literally came crumbling down yesterday at our lunch celebration with our friends. The first time we celebrated our anniversary last year, we made it into a promise to celebrate each year of our relationship with each other alone, but our friends decided to arrange a celebratory lunch for us this time. Naturally, I felt thrilled to celebrate with them since they were the ones who set us up online an online blind date during the pandemic, is where our relationship started. They were so supportive ever since, and they even paid for the reservation and food to make this special for us. I was in the middle of the lunch when this happened. His other friend cleared his throat, looked at Mike meaningfully, then reached for something underneath the table and gave me a small box containing a dainty gold necklace with a diamond heart pendant in the middle that I've been eyeing since I saw it at the mall last time we went out shopping together. I was so happy that I hugged him tight and kissed him because how thoughtful he was and how beautiful the necklace was. I was literally so shocked and giddy. I felt so happy by then that I told him this was the he was the only one with a gift, and I grabbed the book I wrote and bookbinded for him for our anniversary. Early last year, I started composing a book inspired by our story. I plan to give it to him on our second anniversary because as a way of remembering, and cherishing our bizarre rom-com love story. And some few poetries in there, focusing on the things in our relationship that only us knew about, like our inside jokes, experiences, challenges, how much I love and adore him as a person. It was all dedicated to him. I handed the gift to him and told him how much I love him, and our table was so noisy from all the squealing and cheers from our friends. I was so excited to give him this to him because I was so proud of my work. And I poured out my heart into this gift and I because I genuinely love him and everything about him. I spent time proofreading and rewriting each page to make it perfect, but all he did was look at my gift with a what the heck WTF is that kind of face. It sounds very personal and nice. It's not always about the money, money, money. Then he proceeded to ask me how much my gift is and bragged that he bought the necklace from a very expensive brand. He told me that he was disappointed with my gift and that I'm embarrassing myself for giving a personalized gift that you worked on really hard, which is equivalent to a lot of money. He proceeded to criticize the book's interior and exterior design, saying that it only looks wonky and that I shouldn't force myself to do things I clearly have no talent for. Then he bragged about his gift to our friends, which made me feel sick and ashamed of my gift and also shocked because my boyfriend seemed like another person back there. He was always the soft spoken one, and seeing and hearing him insult my love for him crushed me. They all stayed silent and watched him as he yapped and yapped about my book, and that I just ended up grabbing my book and started walking out of the restaurant straight to my apartment. He and our friends began texting me, and haven't answered anyone yet. One of his texts said he was just looking out for me and didn't want me to embarrass myself in front of our friends. I just felt so small and stupid for making handmade gifts when I know that I am not an artsy person, and I felt embarrassed and sad about how he humiliated me back there. I mean, the book didn't have a fancy exterior, that's true. But what hurts more is the fact that he insulted it immediately without looking at what I wrote in there first. This has been weighing me down since yesterday, and I thought maybe sharing this here will make me feel better. Thank you, Reddit. I hope everyone is having a good year. Edit. Thank you guys for all the messages you sent me. They gave me some ideas and validated my feelings, and for that I am thankful. I'm going to break up with him today. I followed one of the comments and sent him the necklace back. He called me and he was crying, asking me if I was throwing out his love for me. No, you did that, sir. You did that. That's all on you for being a dick in public. Shouldn't be a dick in private either, but people are. I literally almost broke out of the phone to punch him. I was so angry. He did that to me, and now he tasted his own medicine. He's going to be mad about it. He said I can't break up with him over the phone, and I think he's going to force himself in my apartment. So I tried calling some of our friends for help. When they arrived, they hugged me and sat me down. Apparently, our friends also aren't contacting him and told him to get lost. That they were never friends after that, and that they were never friends after that. They also came over with some of my favorite foods and all comforted me, saying that they thought he was great because he used be such a green flag. They also told me that I have nothing to be embarrassed about at all because he did all he did back there was humiliate himself, not me. They will be staying with me throughout the night to keep me safe from him. And if he tries anything weird and aggressive, I know a lawyer friend, so I'm going to be okay. Thank you, everyone, for your help and time to read this. I'm thankful for all of you. Wow. Top rated comment is from Stinky Pete. Gotta love Stinky Pete. He says, "Wowza! I used to joke with a boyfriend of mine that our Venn diagrams would practically be a circle as we were so alike. The second Christmas we were together, that man painted me such a diagram on canvas. There was a long explanation for the colors he chose and the size, and I was floored. It was so poorly done, utterly amateur work. I have masters in niche illustration fields, so that opinion is not without merit. I wang and cried so hard how meaningful it was, how beautiful it was spiritually. LOL, and I wanging married that dude. This dude just wowza." Ambling Horror answers, "My spouse used to write me poetry for special occasions. My spouse was not a good poet, but you better believe I still have all those cards with the awkward rhymes and repeating wordings, and missed meter. I bet those suckers took hours to write." Aw, that's so nice and sweet. White Boy says, "It's actually insane the amount of people who treat their partners like crap and then cry and try to play the victim when they get dumped." Yeah, exactly. Valley Oak Paper says, "The divorce came out of nowhere." How many times have we said that on here? It's Electronic Wasabi says, "She divorced me because I didn't do the dishes." Apparently that was an essay. Oh, it's a HuffPost thing. Okay. uh, Next top rated comment is from Do Over 24. Yeah, I wish. One year for Christmas, my boyfriend brought me a laptop because mine died, but it wasn't going to be ready in time, so he brought me a black binder and used tape to write the name on the cover. Inside, he taped hand-drawn pictures of the desktop and keyboard, and desktop had an icon for the interwebs because it was 2008, alongside a recycle bin and a spike thing. The keyboard had Shift Enter in space, but he'd just drawn a grid and forgot the order of the letters, so the key spelled out QWERTY. I forgot the rest. It's too long. I love you. So funny. It's been almost 20 years. The laptop died after a few years. I still have that crudely drawn binder laptop because I love it so much. Opie's boyfriend is just a jerk. Luce says, answers, "Best laptop ever." Um, Mike answers, "Spike thing. I think he installed Minesweeper on your on my laptop." That's funny. Mildly infuriating. Tesla to save money uses cameras instead of rain sensor. My car thinks it's not raining. Oh my. And this is, yeah, it's just a picture of, this is why we don't buy Teslas. Don't buy a Tesla. How are you supposed to drive? You need to get off the road with that, sir. Butterscotch Odd says, Meanwhile, my car just waits for me to turn on the wipers. Crazy rain." Should be an override for sure. Haiku's Bot. Ooh, Haiku's Bot. I love Haiku's Bot. Answers, "Meanwhile, my car just waits for me to turn on the wipers." Crazy, right? Butterscotch Odd 80. Who would want to opt out of Haiku's Bot? Nobody wants to opt out of Haiku's Bot. Abs behind Emmy Line says, "I love that this haiku is actually fairly traditional since it's technically about nature and the rain." And Valerie Links answers, "That's how I find out what haikus are really about. Jack's films never told." Judgment says, "Does the car not have wiper controls?" Jazz says, "It does. OP just isn't using them." Roadhog is my waifu. Answers, "The real r slash mildly infuriating is always in the comments." We'll end that one there. Next is, Am I Overreacting? Entitled AIO for wanting to create the date and block him. Sorry. Am I Overreacting? Entitled AIO for wanting to cancel the date and block him. And there are texts. Of course, there are texts. Uh, just ate some chicken shack with potatoes was fire. OP, oh my, OMG, that sounds amazing. Tell me more about you, handsome. Well, I'm a clean freak and I like things a certain way in order, very big on cleanliness, have a really high sex drive. That's when I'm with someone. I like to cuddle a lot just to be around my person. Date nights, activities, movies, good dinner, go places I've never been. I just like to work and come home. Okay. That's a bit much for that question. And then I don't know why she did that. I don't know what the point of that was. For context, I, 30 female, met this guy online and have been talking to him for the past few days. He asked me out for a planned date for today. He seems really nice so far. I like him. But he's made a couple of comments that maybe seem like a red flag to him. I mean, that's a red bedspread, lady. Maybe even a red house. First of all, I did my nails for the date, and he asked me to send him a picture. So I did. Then he makes a comment like those would look great wrapped around something. I kind of brushed it off because that's how some guys are. But it did give me the ick a little. I didn't ask him to tell me more about it. I did ask him, then I asked him to tell me more about himself. And the second thing he tells me is that he has a high sex drive. Well, I mean, maybe it's better to know that ahead of time. There are women he could be compatible with. Don't get me wrong, I'm no prude, but this made me slightly uncomfortable. I'm wondering what reason you would need to tell this to someone you haven't met yet. I didn't think he would be expecting sex on a first date, but this made me rethink. I'm also recovering from surgery that I had 3 weeks ago, so he knows this. So literally isn't even an option for me. Not that I would want to do it on a first date anyway. Yeah, never, never ever. I'm not even a third date kind of person. You're lucky if you get a kiss on the first date. Don't tell my husband all of this because it doesn't apply to him. None of that applies to him. Anyway, I kind of feel like he's making too many sexual comments too quickly, especially considering I didn't engage with his first comment at all. Am I overreacting, feeling like I maybe want to cancel the date and block him? I just feel like these comments are an indicator of his expectations, or maybe he's just being a guy. Thoughts. Screenshot someone. Also, because my I think my nails are cute. The nails are cute, I guess. Um, Unlike the captain says, not overreacting. My face when I read that text, and it's the kid from Schitt's Creek in his new face. I mean, you could ask, I guess. Like, does this mean that you want are expecting something the first date? Because I have to tell you that that's not going to happen. It's a date, not a relationship. Next, my best of Redditor updates and is entitled AITA for breaking up with my boyfriend after he set me up for a loyalty test. No, no, absolutely not. Original post February 24th, 2025. I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 28 male. At least we finally have one that's age appropriate. Our relationship has been amazing until one day he decided to put me through a loyalty test for a YouTube video. Absolutely not. Entire test felt completely unreal. The entire time I didn't flirt and made it clear I had a boyfriend, despite the decoy's multiple advances. That's just, oh, horrible. Horrible. Then all of a sudden, the whole crew came out. My boyfriend in particular was smiling and happy. When the YouTuber told me that this was a loyalty test and that I had passed, I sat there confused and stayed silent. When my boyfriend tried to hug me, I pushed him away and walked off. I was completely shocked and humiliated. I knew this was going to be on YouTube, so I didn't want to react the way they probably wanted me to, yelling, crying, making a scene. So I simply said the relationship ended the moment you decided to put me on a loyalty test. The boyfriend tried to stop me, saying I was being dramatic and that I had no reason to be mad since I had passed. Oh, she has every right to be mad, sir. That just made me angrier, and all I wanted to do was go home. The next day, he called, wanting to talk in private, which I agreed to. However, he had already told his friends, our mutual friends, and my own family about the situation. During our conversation, he would call them or pull up text messages so they could back him up. They all said I was overreacting and I should be happy because now he knows I would never cheat. We can finally settle down and be together. Yes, I love him and have considered that in the future, but felt completely invalidated. In my opinion, loyalty tests are a lose lose. Either you cheat or you don't, but either way, it proves that your partner doesn't trust you. I was completely confused because I thought I had given him zero reasons to doubt me. So when I asked him why he did this, he admitted that it was only because his ex has cheated on him multiple times in the past with her coworkers. This means he lied because he told me that their breakup was mutual and drama free. Also, I never realized he had trust issues because I'm such a homebody and worked from home. Now that I recently got a new job, I was leaving the house more and meeting new people. It put me in the same situations and settings as his ex had been. At the end of our conversation, he asked if we were breaking up, and I told him I needed space. No, you should have told him, yes, we're breaking up. That was 2 days ago, and I'm still being bombarded with people saying I'm being irrational for being mad about this. No, you're not. The only thing he has said to me in those 2 days was that because I passed, I shouldn't even be worried about the video coming back since they only post fails, if it's as if that was my concern. Maybe I'm overreacting. No, you're not. But I need some outside opinions because everyone around me is making me feel crazy for being upset. So AITAH for breaking up with my boyfriend over this. Relevant comments from Dave. NTA, your boyfriend went behind your back in a way that left you felt deceived, used, and humiliated. These are the actions of an ex, so I'd recommend you just block him now. Any friends saying you're overreacting are his friends, not yours, and your family needs to learn what respect is. Exactly. OP answers, honestly needed that. The worst part is that he's extremely close with my family. So even though we have only dated a year, I've known him for so long. My mom is especially taking his side, so blocking him is just just isn't enough apparently. Your mom's horrible. Like I have nothing against my daughter's ex, but I don't go out of my way to take his side over hers ever. I would never take his side over hers. Echo Azure says, one, if he actually put this on YouTube, for God's sake, never see him again and contact YouTube and get it taken down. Two, I bet $1,000 his ex never cheated on him. OOP answers, at this point, I'm definitely not going to be with him. One, I found out that even if it was going to be on YouTube, there's nothing I can do about it since it's one of those blurred face moments. Two, never thought about that because it took 3 tries asking him why he tested me until I finally caved, but still, he most definitely could have been lying. Shangri-La's Child says, NTA, he didn't just loyalty test you, he arranged a whole production to humiliate you for views. That is a massive violation of privacy and respect. Not only that, but he is weaponizing friends and family to harass you about this. He's trying to make you feel like the bad guy for having boundaries and that their opinions matter more than yours. What happens when the two of you have a real disagreement? Is he going, what do you mean? They are having a real disagreement. Um, is he going to pull the internet then too? He has done so much instead of just having a conversation with you. At every turn, he chose drama and deception over communication. Lurker the Pip says, you are under no obligation to entertain him or the YouTube public with your life. This was a test of his character, not yours, and he failed miserably. He was disrespectful in 5 different ways. He broke your trust, dump him, and don't look back. You deserve someone who doesn't treat your relationship like a prank show. Question Why are his family and friends so involved in the relationship? I know this is not an excuse as to why they're involved, but for context, our families are extremely close together. Our parents are best friends and always wanted us to get together. So now that we're together, they think it's irrational for me to just because we're perfect for each other. Everybody else gets to decide that, not you, clearly. OOP updated the original post 2 days later, February 26, 2025. Update. I took y'all's suggestions, including showing my friends and family the Reddit post I made. Most of them backtracked once they saw the full context of what happened. His brother told me he wanted to talk because there was something he needed to get off his chest. He admitted that my ex had been planning this for a while, not just for the video. Last night we spoke, and she, his ex girlfriend, told me she had heard about what happened through a mutual friend. She reached out to tell me her side of the breakup. Their relationship ended because she found out he was the one who cheated multiple times with multiple women. What do we say about cheaters accusing other people of cheating? Projection? Yeah. See, more projection. She confronted him. He tried to flip the script on her. She also revealed that during their relationship, he, one, recorded a lot of their conversations, and two, lied about where he worked, including his actual salary and position. When she got caught looking at his phone, he completely flipped. He broke up with her on the spot, claiming she didn't trust him, even though he was the one being unfaithful. This morning, she still went ahead and told him everything I'd said and what I'd find out. He started blowing up my phone with explanation texts. After an hour, he apologized, admitted he was sorry, and that he's only projecting his past traumas onto me. I didn't buy and blocked him. You would think that after all of this, people would see my side, but some of his friends are still messaging me saying I ruined his career by not letting him post the video. He's posting trash videos. He doesn't deserve a career. Thanks to everyone who gave their opinion. I was incredibly eye-opening, and I'm glad I'm moving on from this mess. I'm officially single and staying that way for a while. Pled Geo says, yeesh, dodged a nuke. Uptown Lurker said, right, OP, your families are so close, but he set up an elaborate production in hopes of humiliating you for his online clout. That's not a person who cares about you, and your mom should feel that way too. Yeah, your mom sucks, by the way. Mahu Moonlight says, I'm confused. It started sounding like he hired a YouTuber to catch a cheater style channel and then ended up with it having his career ruined if can't post the video. What? Kitty didn't said this was an exchange. He was planning to cash in on his girlfriend, the only asset he has for views. He was hoping that something would happen that would give him the opportunity to boost his social media following, which I'm sure is like 5 people and 100K of bots. He was fine losing the relationship as long as he got something for it, but he played a stupid game and won a stupid grand prize. Their top comment is from Sansby, and this says the projection is strong with this one. That's all you had to say. Next is Made Me Smile, and it is entitled, come on, stop. He is fully on board. Do that. It's a doggo. Look at the pretty doggo. Says we just rescued this puppy and we wanted to see if he was on board. Wait for it. What a cutie. What a cute little doge. Hey, look, a horse. Oh, that should be mine. Said, and with flair for the dramatic. Second top rated comment is from Deanna, and she says, he's like, I'm in already. Third top rated comment is from most reliable source and says, OMG, give him an award for the blinks. And that, friends, is all I have for the day. I don't know where my audience went. They need to get their butts over here. I'm going grocery shopping. And then I'm going to hopefully have 7 little Johnsons for you tomorrow. Um, I had to look up and make sure that I haven't. What? And maybe an opening segment of Sister Wives, since I still have that up. So I'm gonna save it and redo it tomorrow because apparently we had no sound. I'm thrilled, freaking thrilled, so happy. All right, I will see you. Love you. Love all of my biddies. Have a good day. Love you all. Bye. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Bye. 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 Bye.